Greetings and welcome to Season 3 and 4, showing a playthrough of Obsession 2nd Edition, along with the Wessex expansion 2nd Edition included therein. But none of the upstairs, downstairs servants or some of the new promotional materials. This is just for those who have acquired Obsession new to them. And I wanted to have a playthrough which had updated 2nd Edition rules. We're at the beginning of Season 3, which starts with a village fair. Let's follow our order of play, which is to rotate service. And then to check the round track, where we do see the village fair. But once again, and this is actually one of the best examples of the tension between playing or not playing the village fair. Let me come in a little bit as we start to play the turn here for York, Evil York. The tension is those benefits versus the courtship advantage in Essentials, which paid off for York. It's also paid off in a way for Ponsonby, so we'll have to see who got the better payment. But right now I'm not going to realize any benefit there, and that really hurts because I'm trying to accumulate wealth. But my plan with hosting an activity is to do that kind of thing I generally don't like to do, but I've never seen such a devastated reputation here at the beginning of Season 3. I'm going back to the bowling green because I need to accumulate 1,100 pounds. I have 500. That's going to get me to 700. And then we are going to invite these two gentlemen, the Earl and Thomas Macmillan. We're going to provide service. And this is going to hit my target. I'm going to get 600 here plus this 500 here. So I'll go ahead and grab 600 over here. And it's strictly a money transaction. And let me offer a comment about money. You know, money's not exchanging hands. That's not the favor of the monetary favor. What it is, let's read the description for Thomas Macmillan. The debonair Scotsman has relatives in Derbyshire and owns the largest estate outside of Glasgow. What happens here is there's a conversation that takes place in an environment that's sort of conducive to having your mind on the game of bowls, but at the same time talking about world politics, talking about opportunity, talking about government action, tariffs, the big picture business, not the sort of mundane, I'm a glass blower or I'm making iron type business that would be beneath the aristocracy, but I would call it the political business of the time. And then weeks, perhaps, after this visit from Thomas Macmillan, which spans a number of days, takes place, you find that the York family is able to take advantage of that conversation, that insight from someone who has got connections elsewhere to enrich the family by having his people who deal with the nuts and bolts of the money sort of make some strategic moves. So I just want everybody to know, it's not like they're betting on bowls and money's exchanging hands. That's not what's happening. Look at the back of the Obsession 2E rule book, please, for a breakdown of the critical principle in this game, which is that favors are not concurrent with the activity. They take place much after the activity. Okay, that was a brief aside for players who are a little bit new to the mechanics of the game. So we've got our 1,100. We're going to go ahead and break down. They're going to go into my discard pile. And I'm going to come down here. We're not going to flip this. We're using this bowling green. We're wearing a path at the bowling green. But that is going to be, I think, the last time we're going to see that tile played. And I've got 1,100. Now, you might be saying, you're not taking care of your reputation. You're beating these level 1 tiles to death. I know that's the case. But we're going to accelerate on reputation very soon. So I have 1,100. Goes in there. This is going to help with the acceleration of reputation, as I'm going to acquire a reminder tile. Just going to make sure I never forget the reputation associated with this capital improvement. I'll go ahead and flash out a little bit. There is the beautiful Manor Gargoyles. Evil York is dominant right here. We'll have to see if Prestige comes up. And we are now done with York, so let's slide over here. And Ponsonby is going to rotate service. They do have the advantage of patronage at the village fair, so they are going to realize 300 pounds and 2 reputation, starting to have the benefit of that. And one of the things you want to do when you're in a battle with someone is you want to adapt to what you see. We see interesting things. If I flash out here, this is quite a nice tableau in development. A lot of stuff not flipped, but you know, we've got a number of turns left, and I can see that where York is headed. But this is a handicap, and I want to basically I want to pivot, and I want to exploit reputation. I want to drive my reputation up and be positioned to have more productive events and get tiles that'll allow me to take advantage of that. And I've got my eye on that Queen Suite. So let me come back in here, focus, and we are going to go to the smoking room, which is going to take advantage of that desire for reputation. Now, just a quick note, the under butler here could stand in for the butler, and the butler doesn't have to be unavailable. So, for example, when we have a brushing room, which actually York has a brushing room, that footman can only stand in for the valet if the valet's actually not around. You're not going to go to a footman who's going to be an inferior valet when you got a valet around. But the butler runs the house, and the under butler is a jack of all trades. It can be used in any application that helps with the running of the house. So I could put the under butler up there, but why lose his flexibility? I'm going to hang on to him, but I just wanted to make that point. And we've got these two gentlemen. We have Captain Reginald Barrow. Yes, I stole Barrow. I picked off a lot of things that either come from, there's Crawleys in here, come from Downton Abbey or other great movies and series. So I have the need for a valet here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to enjoy 300 pounds. Reputation-wise, we're picking up 3 reputation, and nice. We're starting to create a little bit of a gap between these losers over here who are still reeling from the notorious affiliation with an American heiress. And we also have an unscreened invite. Be gentle to me, and indeed, very gentle. This is Winston Napier, Esquire, heir to a family fortune. The handsome young Mr. Napier has recently moved to Derbyshire. Beautiful. Love that card. Get a victory point with it as well. We're going to go ahead and break down and make a nice purchase. Let's see what we're going to do. Flipping that smoking room, which gives a respectable 4 victory points. And let me focus. Sorry, guys. I really got to figure that out. I'm not the most tech-savvy individual, and the iPhone frustrates me more than it makes me happy. Anyway, those go on the discard pile right here. Let me flash out a little bit. And we have 600 pounds. I'm getting after this Queen Suite. Why? Well, the Queen Suite gives frontside victory points, puts me in a leadership position as far as estate. They only have the main gazebo. And look who I have, who perhaps one day might stay in the Queen Suite and double all delicious favors. 2 victory point cards. That's something I've got my eye on. So keep me in focus. Let's go ahead and place that into the tableau. Did I pay? I did not. That was 500. 500 it is. Oh, and you know what? I never filled there because that's what was taken. I'm a little frustrated by that because I had almost an error-free except for one misspoken phrase in the first video, and here I left this exposed. It's not going to dissuade Ponsonby from going for that Queen Suite. So I pulled out, and it was the North Dining Room, first one out. Now that we've made that purchase of the Queen Suite, we slide down. And second one I pulled out was the brushing room, which is a service tile, which goes over here. The third one I pulled out, did I bump that? Sorry. Third one I pulled out is the fence paddock, which also goes to the Prestige Rating 1 reserve. And here you're seeing the imperative on keeping the market populated with interesting, higher value tiles as our reputations theoretically climb, like Ponsonby's is climbing. So we've got a main library in there. So my turn is done for Ponsonby. So here we are on round 10, starting with Evil York. And Evil York made a mistake as well now. Not a rules mistake, a tactical mistake. I should have hung on to, let me pop out a little bit. I should have hung on to that objective card that gave me 1 point for each prestige building. Because I'm probably not going to be going for the tennis court now. I spent all my money for my monument. As a result of spending all that money, I would have to go back to the bowling green again, which I'm just not going to do that, in order to get that tennis court. And he, over here, doesn't have a path associated with money. My guess is that Ponsonby's probably going to go for the tennis court. And so I think I would maybe tie myself in knots to get the tennis court, but the cricket field, it's not guaranteed to show up in the market. I'm good here. I've got basic servants rocking and rolling. I got a monument here, which is great, so that's on the way. I'm waiting on a barn here. And that flower room means maybe I can do something. So I hate the fact that I might have surrendered such a big objective card with the 13 victory points. But I really just have killed myself, because look at all the fresh money I could get into if I could just get that thing above 1, which is the sole focus of this turn. Sole focus of this turn. After this turn, we're above 1. So that's what the plan is. So before anything, let's do the order of play. Let's rotate our service. Let's check the round track. Nothing there. Monuments, yes I do, and I have that reminder tile. Lots of reminders. Gives me a point of reputation, which is very good indeed. And I'm going to flip a tile, and I'm going to flip the retiring room. Retiring room goes up. We have a lady's maid required. And who's going to come to the retiring room? But it's going to be the lovely Elizabeth Fairchild. Elizabeth Fairchild will get service here. And now we pick up 3 reputation. 1, 2, 3. Level 2. And we pick up that all-important critical invite. And we have no glasses, because I can't be trained. We have Hazel, the Viscountess Cross. Despite humble origins, the wife of Viscount Cross is beloved. She lost a leg in her youth and requires extra aid. So that's interesting. Fortunately, I'm pretty well positioned with females domestic staff that she shouldn't be too difficult to play in a certain situation. So let's go ahead and break this down. We're now going to acquire some non-inconsequential 3 victory points on the backside of the retiring room, and further cement. Boy, we're praying for a prestige courtship. Further cement the prestige courtship. We'll put the lovely Elizabeth into the discard pile, and we have no money. Can't get after that tennis court, which we talked about. So now we're going to slide over here. And let's rotate service. We're looking on round 10. There's nothing on the round track there. I do not have a monument or a servants' hall. And it seems that retiring rooms are all the rage, because the very well-connected ladies need to attend to the tattered hem or the muddy shoes. And we have service and lots of ladies' maids running around. And we have 1 reputation here. And we have a 2nd level invite, which is one of my favorites. John Lord Brooks, the sedate peer, well connected in and around Derbyshire, enjoys success in his overseas ventures. Got that beautiful prestige invite. Thank you very much. And we're close to a reputation of 4 to be able to invite John Lord Brooks. We're going to flip the retiring room. Not going to catch up to Evil York, but you know what? Overall victory points, that's a good thing. Goes into the discard pile here. I have 100 pounds. You know, I could pick up that brushing room, but I've got this locked up. I don't think that's necessary. I'm going to go ahead and bank that 100 pounds. Round 11, which is a builder's holiday. We have two impoverished opponents here, so I don't think we're going to be taking advantage of extra acquisitions in the market. Let's go ahead and rotate service. Recognize that we have our monument. Take our point of reputation. Builder's holiday is nothing that we can take advantage of. And now finally we can get into, let me come out a little bit. And let me do a little better than that. Now we can finally get into these pathway tiles, which because of our abysmal reputation and our predilection for American heiresses has not been used. And I'm actually thinking here, let's take a look at where we are in courtship. So this is the last courtship, which is going to stand on its own, meaning whatever that card is the courtship, because the final courtship is going to be all 4 cards calculated. And so as I look at this, Evil York is ahead here comfortably, behind here by a lot, trailing here by 2 points. So I'm going to come back to that. Dominant. And then over here, I could flip the south lawn to here, which would tie that courtship, but then make me lose this courtship. Or I can leave the south lawn here and tie up this courtship. So I think I'd rather be tied and winning rather than tied and losing. So we're going to go here. We're going to grab the croquet lawn. We are going to invite 2 gentry, and those 2 gentry are going to be Elizabeth Viscountess Peel. The Viscountess enjoys bowls, lawn tennis, croquet, and other activities out of doors. And Francis Trotwood, Esquire. Ladies have allegedly swooned over the dashing Mr. Trotwood, but he is always the soul of honor. And we have service around. Now you might say, uh-oh. Well, for those new to the game, when there is no lady's maid available, the housekeeper may stand in. And I'm going to take a brief second here, and I know these interludes are going to be old news to experienced players. But for you new players, these 2 ladies' maids are not just tired and sleeping in the servants' quarters. This is a mechanic that takes into account the difficulty to pull off repeated large activities. Even though this one is pretty modest, you have to realize that it involves guests visiting for an extended period of time. And the domestic staff is really challenged at those times where the estate has visitors, and this represents a mechanism that sort of auto-regulates the exploitation of your domestic staff, which would be unrealistic given the so many tasks that are going on. These ladies' maids not being available could be the fact that one was in a retiring room, the other was maybe working in bedrooms, putting in flowers because there's no chambermaid working, putting in flowers in the bedroom. It's just the demands on the domestic staff. It gets more difficult to host events until there's a period of time where everybody takes a breath and relaxes, which is the pass, where no event takes place. So we have what, 200 pounds? Let's grab 200 pounds. And we have 3 reputation, 1, 2, 3. So how about that? Evil York is crashing back into success as far as the reputation, sort of cleaned up their act. And then we have an unscreened invite, and it has not turned out to be gentle. Miss Florence Oliver, gossip. Miss Oliver exudes sweetness and humility, but some feel she is a master of innocent gossip. For anybody wondering the way this works, the red frame indicates a penalty for the person who's actually playing the card, where the black frame indicates the penalty that goes onto your opponent. So this here is a net of reducing your opponent's reputation by 1 relative to your own. But that's a rough card. -4 victory points. Very, very, very bad. Unscreened endpoint. Mr. Trotwood, you don't know nice people. So let's go ahead and break this down. We're going to flip this over, which is going to extend our lead in the sporting category. Clean this up. They will go into the discard pile. Now I have 200 pounds, and look, and lo and behold, I thought that Ponsonby would go after that tennis court. They haven't. I am going to do what all of you are going to shriek about. I am going to go to the money lenders in London, and I am going to borrow 100 pounds in order to build my tennis court. Because now I'm a cricket field away from 13 points. That goes in there. I'm going to slide this down here. And the music room comes into play. Tell you what, that long gallery sitting there, boy, that's a prize. Now, you know, let me slide to the middle here, since we cleaned up everything. Yes, we finished. We're going to go to round 11 for Ponsonby. But let me pause in the middle and ask the question to each of these opponents, what are you doing for the national holiday? This is a nice fallback for the national holiday, but that's not exactly a big event. Here, we don't have anything worthy of a national holiday beside the Queen's Suite, and a single card play in the Queen's Suite, even if you get 2 victory point cards. I don't think that's going to help the overall development of the estate. So I think that somebody should be getting after that long gallery for the national holiday, and then someone else might want to consider the billiards room or the music room. But let's come over here and flash in on the wonderful Ponsonby family. We are going to rotate service. There's Builder's Holiday, but we certainly are going to be ill-positioned to take advantage of that. No monument and no servants' hall. So that brings us to hosting an activity. We're going to do something. We need a path here. And we also need to respect the national holiday based on that last conversation. We have to go after the long gallery, which is only 400 pounds. To do that, we're going to go to the smoking room. We're going to have Reginald Hopkins. We're going to have Winston Napier and the heir. That's going to give us 300 pounds by taking the 100 pounds there. So that's 300. Gets us up to the 400 we will need for the long gallery. Reputation-wise, we have 3. 1, 2, 3. It would have been so nice to get to 4, level 4, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. An unscreened invite. And the wrong time of year to have an American heiress, although maybe that can work. Anyway, so we have Susan Norris, American heiress. Miss Norris from North Carolina stands to inherit a tobacco fortune. All right, that comes down. Go up here. Let's break down. No flip there. These will go to the discard pile. And let's take a look at the market. We have our 400 pounds, and we've picked up our national holiday play of the long gallery, which will allow for 4 gentry and a great event. And so we're going to pop that in there. Slide this down. And first tile out of the market is a level 1, so that goes to the level 1 reserve. And the second is a billiards room, which stacks on the billiards room there in the market. And next is the English garden. So we're going to go to a courtship. And the 3rd round courtship is, here it is. Boom! Service, a big smile on the Ponsonby face. So for those of you who might be wondering about the logic of the revelation of these categories in our tableaus, they sort of represent a worldview philosophy for the Fairchild siblings. In this case, Essentials represents all those traditional spaces in the manor house. the libraries, the eating rooms, the great hall for where a ball is hosted, and so on. And the domestic staff represents, or the service represents, a robust domestic staff. So our Fairchilds right now, their sort of profile of how they think is they're traditionalists. Maybe they like harken back to the 18th century when things were pre-industrial revolution and things were of a different flavor. And so what do we have? We enjoy a victory point card for, that could be very useful for Ponsonby. Sometimes that could push you over the top. I do need to extract the lovely Elizabeth here and return her over here. And I think because of that max reputation pull, I think with this representing a full level of reputation, we're going to take Charles. Come on over, Charles. Goes into the active hand. And there's no reserves that kick in, but we do need to discard. So over here I have achieved, let me come over here and let's take a look. I have achieved this objective. I have achieved this objective. Unfortunately, Evil York got that. And these are interesting. It's going to be a tough pull, but I'm thinking in that direction, and that's, I think, tougher than that. I'm going to pass on the cabinet here. And when we come over here and take a look at the objective cards of York, they now are a little bit in play there, but boy, I would like to see, might take a market refresh in order to find that cricket field. Here they would have to buy, in the next 3 turns, they would have to buy that English garden and that flower room. Not so sure about that. Here, no barn, although if a barn does show and hits the reserve, and it's unlikely they're going to go for 2 groups, but they could sort of bide their time in 2 groups. I think I'm going to part with this because no barn is showing right now, and there's only a couple purchases left, and I have no money. I don't know. I might regret that. But putting that back. The start of season 4, the first player marker moves over to Ponsonby. And we go to round 13. Now, it's very common for players who are new to Obsession that in preparation for the national holiday, you will see a lot of people pass because they want to have their full deck and they also want to have their full service staff. Let's see what we find. You know, I'm going to hang out with this little bit of a long view. I think this is pretty cool. So that's going to happen. We're going to pass in order to prep for 2 big turns to finish this out. One is going to be the national holiday in the long gallery, and then to play the Queen's Suite along with the Marchioness, who is not going to attend the national holiday event. And that will double up our victory point cards and will hopefully get us near to max reputation. I haven't done the total math, but we're going to jump up. I think I'm going to be a little bit short, but maybe this victory point card can be the difference maker. So we pass on this turn. What happens when we pass? We refresh all our service. Reclaim my deck, which I've done. And I take 200 pounds. So some might wonder, should I refresh the market? And you don't want to refresh the market if you can't make a purchase. So if I refresh that market now, I basically set up a potentially great market for York, which I don't want to do. And they can maybe use a turn to acquire the necessary money. So 200 pounds will be banked right there. Not going to make a purchase. So I've sort of slid a little bit over here to look at York, and really I have to admit to not playing very well as far as setting up for the national holiday, but I'm going to take the chance, and the chance is I'm not going to pass for the national holiday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the tennis court preceding the national holiday and hope that I stumble into a good prestige guest here on an invite. So let me slide up here and come in a little bit closer. So what we're going to do is not pass. We're going to rotate service. We are going to take our point of reputation for the monument, and we're going to grab the tennis court. We're going to provide service there. So I've had a little cat accident here, jumped up on the table. Hopefully I've reconstructed things. I really dropped the ball with Evil York because they're Evil York. I mean, we want Evil York to drop the ball, but I do feel bad. Buying that tennis court at the expense of being at level 3 was catastrophic because I wanted to be able to invite her so that she, in the round before the national holiday, so she could maybe land a sizable prestige guest that then would attend that Cabinet of Curiosities event, maybe jump me up a couple of levels of reputation, which I really needed. As a result, the round before the national holiday, and I actually have brother and sister playing lawn tennis. You might ask why I don't pass. It's because I have in my hand, because the cabinet is going to be my national holiday play, good guests that I can play. So I'm going to try to stay productive for the 3 rounds of the 4th season. So what do we have? We have 300 pounds. We'll grab that. We have 1 point of reputation from the young man, which we desperately needed sometime before now. And we have an unscreened invite, which is a good one. Sir, again, I don't have my glasses. I'm not going to read it. And bring that into focus, and let's go ahead and break down. Very disappointing start to the 4th season for York. So here we are over at Ponsonby. We're going to put the pawn on the national holiday, and I want to zoom in a little bit and have some fun because national holidays are just great events. Let me get a little light on the action. I don't know what happened there. I left that off. National holidays are just such fun activities, and here we're going to be going into the long gallery. We had passed the turn before to prepare our service, and we're going to be inviting 4. It's going to have the romance of Charles Fairchild and the young lady, as well as John Lord Brooks and John Ambrose, all in the long gallery to admire art. We have a valet for Charles. We have a valet for Lord Brooks. The underbutler will step in and take care of John Ambrose, and the butler will be coordinating the long gallery event. We only have 100 pounds, which is a little bit unusual for a national holiday event, but our focus is reputation. We have 4 and 3 is 7, 8, 9, because the admirer bonus kicks in, 10, 11. So each spin of the wheel is 5 reputation, so that would be 5, and that would be 10, and 11 would slip over the top and get us to reputation level 6. Outstanding. And invites, we have an invite for our Lady Margaret Carlo. Oh, look at that. She's wonderful, gets us a victory point. Don't know if we'll be able to play her. In fact, I know we're not going to play her, but we got a victory point out of that. That's great. And we have a prestige guest invite, and we're hoping for some victory points, and we got them in spades. Look at that. Fantastic. Carol, Duke of Hazelton. So that comes in there, and we're done with our invites. Focus, please. We're going to flip the long gallery, which is going to go from 4 to 7 victory points. That's a big pickup. And we have 300 pounds to spend. It's worth pointing out that 200 pounds is worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. And I think I'm going to bank that 1 victory point and maybe see if we can get into the music room somehow with our next play. Let's go look at the national holiday event for Evil York, Sad York. Going to rotate service, take our point for the for the monument, pulling up the Cabinet of Curiosities, place that there. And we are going to have an interesting duo visit the cabinet. We need extra help for Hazel, and we're going to have the housekeepers step in place for the Honorable Regina Washburn. We're going to enjoy 100 pounds, again, on a national holiday, not very robust, but we are going to get to 10 reputations. So again, that's 2 levels. That'd be 5, and that's 10. So we get up to level 5. And we are going to have a prestige guest invite. Oh! 5 big points for Albert, the Marquess of Thornhill. One day I'm going to nail those glasses to my forehead. And I think we're done. We are done. Let's break that. That wasn't so bad. I mean, I don't think it offsets my bad play in delaying as long as I did and going for that tennis court, but that wasn't too shabby. And we have 400 now. Again, we need front side. Oh, come on, focus. We need front side victory points. And nothing jumps out at me, so I am not going to make a purchase here. We go to round 15, the last round before final courtship. We're going to rotate service. We do not have anything going on that round, but we are going to play the Queen Suite. The Queen Suite is going to require the housekeeper, and we can't play the Marchioness of Easton like we planned. So we are going to be playing Carol, Duke of Hazelton. We do have the servants' quarters. Let me flash out there. We do have the servants' quarters, which allow us to take somebody from the quarters and place them there. We do not, however, have two servants that we can pull out of the service quarters. So I need to go 1, 2, 3 in order to refresh that servant for the Duke. That would now go down to 5. And we're able to double all favors. We're not going to get to max because of that. So frustrating. I could have bought that brushing room for 100 pounds previous turn, and that would have allowed me to get to max and get 7 victory points. There's a lot of wheels turning. People think that, we're playing a lighter game. The permutations, and when I'm not filming, I'm a little more aware of that bigger environment to make moves in. But now with the film in the can, I just got to go with it. So we double 1 favor with the Queen Suite. So we're going to take 2 victory point cards. And that's going to get us 7 victory points. Very nice. We're going to get 3 reputation, 1, 2, 3. So the 3 we traded away. At least we're at 6. And we are going to flip, getting that up to 4 points. And making it a monument, which will give us a point of reputation. Organize my stuff there. We have that 300 pounds. We're not going to do anything for the same rationale as before. Last turn for Evil York. And I want you to check this out. We're going to rotate service. I know some of you don't like gotcha type of mechanics, but we're going to do it here. We're going to go to the South Lawn. I don't think I want to go to the South Lawn. I want to get a little bit money, so I'm going to go back to the tennis court, and I am going to provide service. We need 2 gentry. I have these 2 gentry. I have a servant there. I need to trade away 3. 1, 2, 3 to put that servant here on the evil Miss Florence Oliver. I'm going to get 400 in money. Reputation, I am going to get 1 reputation because I lose 1 for her. And I pick up 2 there, so I'm going to get 1 reputation. And I am going to attack. Cost him 6 victory points. I'm going to gossip about Ponsonby and drag them down a level. Isn't that? I know some of you don't like gotcha stuff or you're shaking your head. And then I'm going to grab. Oh, look, they got punished. They got punished for 2 victory points with a cad. maybe there's some justice after all. And I break this down. Put that tennis court there without flipping. Sorry, give me some focus. Give me some focus. There we go. And we're going to slide those. I'm staggering to the finish line as I always do. My apologies. And I do have 800 to spend, and that would be worth 4 victory points. And the music room would be worth 3 victory points. And I don't think that's worth it for the simple reason is I have 9, 7 is 16, and 5 is 21. And Ponsonby has 11, and 5 is 16. It doesn't even help me win a courtship. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bank that money. And we are on to final courtship. I'm going to slide to the middle. And let's go ahead and reveal that last card and total the 4 categories. Oh, it's sporting. Wow. So the profile for the Fairchilds is that they are traditionalists with a real emphasis on domestic staff, but that they do like some of the emerging outdoor activities. Probably since they're traditionalists, they're more horses and riding and hunting and things of that nature. And so that's the estate that appeals to them the most. Excuse me. Again, staggering to the finish line. And what do we have? Let's total up here. We have 2, but it's 2 occurrences of the card, so that's 4. 4 and 3 is 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We look over here, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10, and 2 is 12. Winner of the final courtship is York. I have to return, so I should have already done. Charles here. York is going to select her, get her 8 victory points. Put that in the discard pile. Take a victory point card for 5 and a potential servant. If they wanted to spend that, which is not worth swapping out the 5. And we now go to endgame scoring. Well, there's final scoring, and that is really a pretty low score for someone who's played probably 1,000 times. All I can tell you is, those of you chuckling at me, you got to try to film and think at the same time. I guess walking and chewing gum isn't my forte, but a couple of interesting points is that last steal of 6 reputation obviously kept it from being within 3 as opposed to 9, but still a close game. York winning that courtship at the end really was the difference maker, because that courtship netted him 13 victory points. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Main thing I wanted everyone to see was the base game in Wessex 2nd editions played with the original rule set and some of the modifications found in 2nd edition.